This is the thing in question for today's video. So this baffles a lot of minds. We did get a massive help from Medusa Designs with this, so thank you for that. It's difficult, it is difficult to work out with this, so that's what this video is going to be about. We're going to be fitting this and doing some other finishing touches up as well to the car, and getting this petrol cap to sit flush in that bit right there. This is going to be fun and stressful, isn't it?
No stress.
You ready to cut?
Yeah.
Let's show them exactly what we're talking about, where we've got to cut. This is what we're talking about. When you have the cap, you have to fit the original to this. So the top of this cap has to be cut off, and that bottom section has to be formed to this. Now to do that, this is all in the way, so you have to keep shaving all this back. This is also going to be in the way, but what we're going to do first is we're going to cut all this to pieces, because essentially what you want is this thicker part here to be ready, and you can actually make it so it fits, and then that needs to be bonded to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to chop all this up, take all the big chunky bits off, aren't we, and see what's the cracking.
No, there ain't no stopping us. Fly without boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I'll be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge.
With that being shaved back, what we're trying to achieve there is we're trying to get it so it sits as kind of smooth on the actual original petrol cap itself. It is difficult because the amount of stuff that's actually there already isn't needed, but this is what we've got left with. So we've shaved off all this, we've cut off all the top as well, we've cut this section off. You can't make it extremely flat because you need to still keep the thickness of it. So you need to keep that thickness, it's thicker on one side than the other. That's because of where the arch sits on the back. Now what Jack's about to do now is going to take the petrol cap off, or you're going to see if you can adjust it at all.
I've got to trim the back.
What, this section here?
Yeah.
Right, so what he's going to do is going to trim this section at the back. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you should be able to see that where my finger is. He's going to trim that slightly to give us a little bit more leeway on opening the cap. So as soon as we can get the cap open, we can kind of then start proceeding forward with it. Now, once that's done, the plan is to then attach this to the original cap. We are just going to double-sided tape it or something, aren't we, for now, just so it holds it. And then what we can do is we can start working on trying to get it to open with the extended cap on, if that makes sense. So it sounds complicated, and it is, but it's just a bit of one of them things where you got to keep going at it and at it and at it and at it until you get there in the end. So basically what we're trying to achieve there is, if this was on the car, the hinge sits here, it opens this direction, this lip is all in the way, so that will all need shaving down and smoothing out to be able to get that and that to open, because we're going to need petrols, aren't we?
No.
Petroleums, some lovely E10, Jack. No, don't do E10.
We ain't using that.
Nah, don't use E10, people, don't. So he's going to just shave that down now. That section's trimmed back slightly, so now this is the dilemma that we've got. It's opening the petrol cap around this section here. So what we've got to do now is Jack's just shaved a little bit of the back of that off to make it a bit more smooth. If he places that on there, what he's going to do is he's going to double side tape this for now to the petrol cap itself. And another reason as well why we did chop the top off is because that top section is theoretically this, because you want that to be still smooth with the body. So this section here where Jack's hand is, this is where we need to actually make it so it pops over. So if we show you quickly, if Jack just takes it out, you just press the petrol cap. So if it pops the petrol cap, on these you have a button inside. So this is the problem. So what we need to do is we need to make it so this petrol cap opens, but it's got to have that attached to it so we can still fill up with petrol.
Fun.
Okay. So what we've got to do is we've got to start shaving this back slightly here, keep shaving it on an angle, try and keep the shape of it, but you are going to have to shave it back. You ain't going to have a choice in that because you want it to be functional. I mean, the original petrol cap only opens to there in the first place, So you need to do something with that and just make sure that you've got the clearance that you need. So we're going to go ahead, start marking this out, double side tape that to it, and get cracking, fitting. This is what we've got so far. Now you might sit there thinking, that doesn't look right. No, it doesn't. But you've got to make things worse before they get better. Let's just bear that in mind. So the petrol cap is just riv nutted onto here for now, just to hold it in place. Now what we've got is the dilemma of this section here. Yes, there's a big hole in the arch. Do not panic. You have to skim this back, and then what you need to do is re-fiberglass on the inside. We'll make that more of an angle, and then smooth it all back out. So you won't see this after, you're just seeing the process, so to speak. So this is why you're going to see it looking a mess. But this petrol cap, it catches, so we've got to here. What? No, it opened.
You can't get it all the way.
So it does open all the way, but it does slightly catch. So the bit it catches on is this section here. So what we're going to do now, or we're going to try and attempt, is take this section out, because the end goal is, so if we take this out here, the end goal is that we need to, spare 1 second, Jack, is to fiberglass this to this. So eventually this is all going to be one anyway, around here. So this is what we're talking about there, look, it catches just there. Obviously we don't want to make it go too far over that direction, because it will just look silly with too much of a slope distance. So it's got to kind of compromise with that. There's no other way around that, unfortunately, which does mean that it makes it a little bit more awkward to actually sort out. So it's not ideal, but this is the only way you can really do it. You can't expect something to open on an angle and have something buttered up. It just is not going to work, especially with the original cap. There is adjustment in the cap itself, the petrol cap, the original one. However,
It's not enough.
It's not enough, yeah. There's no way near enough for it. So you can't do anything with that. You can't really adjust it in any way, shape or form, which is a shame.
So after some adjustments, we've managed to get it so it sits somewhat correct. No, it does sit correct. The only thing is, obviously now what we're going to have to do on a different video is sort this section out. So this is going to be a part, well, it's going to be a part 2. So this opens up as it should. The only things left to do now is to bond the petrol cap to the actual petrol cap, and then we need to shave this back a little bit more, fiberglass it from the back, and then fill it in and smooth it around. So this is this, you've got to do this. You can't not do this, because this will not open at all. Now this is probably why a lot of people haven't fitted this, because they don't want to be cutting into an arch if they don't have to. So a lot of people do leave this petrol cap off, but for us, we're like a challenge, we're stupid, and we don't know what we're doing. No, we thought we'll try and fit it and make sure we can actually fit it. A lot of people just smooth it in or flip it round with the petrol cap, but it's open, so it opens. That's the function we need. We are going to have to put a bit of a stop on it, I think, because it does still, or it will, touch this when it's painted, and we don't want it to scratch, just because the ridge is so high up. So I mean, we can get away with that by dipping it even more here, but we don't want it to look so much out of place or anything like that, which it shouldn't once it's painted anyway. But there's only one way to find out with that. We will pick this up again next week, same time, with part 2, where we're going to finish this petrol cap, aren't we, Jack?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We're going to finish this petrol cap. We're going to bond it to the actual front of it, and we're going to sort out that fiberglass in and filler. We're going to sort that out and get that done and dusted, and then we can move on to the next bit, which is going to be great. We'll talk about that in the next one.